กูนี่แหละป๊อปอายไทยแลนด์ป๊อปอายเป็นแฟนโอลีฟเขากินผักขมแล้วดูมาดแมนป๊อปอายเป็นแฟนโอลีฟเขากินผักขมแล้วดูมาดแมนป๊อปอายไทยแลนด์เรากินใบท่อมบำรุงกำลังอิสลานานานานานานา นายจ่าผมมาร้องเรียนเอาเลยลูกเอ้ยร้องเรียนไปเลยตัวพ่อ
Welcome to Kratom Radio, Episode 2. The Dark Side of Kratom. The Dark Side. Everyone's favorite catchphrase right now, right? Right now, everything's the dark side of this, dark side of that. And we have to start off with all the bad stuff about Kratom because I don't want it just being like a one-sided show about, you know, how wonderful and awesome Kratom is. But that being said, Kratom is wonderful and awesome, so cheers. You already drank without cheering. Okay.
Cheers.
It feels way for our son. All right, cheers.
Chong Kao.
Chong Kao. Yeah, as the Thai say, Chong Kao. Oh, okay, there we go. So, so Nick, before we start off, what is something we should let our viewers know?
So we should let our viewers know that we are not medical experts. We are not doctors or medically trained professionals. Nothing in this podcast is medical advice. Do your own research. We will cite references and sources as often as we can, but a lot of this is opinion and anecdotes. Thank you.
Yeah, we all love Kratom, but it's not for everyone, right? So maybe it's good for us, but it might not be good for you. So please consult like a professional, like a real doctor or you know, a physician instead of just taking our words for it, okay? So today we have a special guest, Sun, and Sun is a 25-year-old university student here in Bangkok, Thailand, and he's also a Kratom, I guess recreational daily Kratom user, right? So Sun, how often do you use Kratom?
So nice to see everyone, by the way. I'm usually a daily or a fortnightly drinker. So I'll try to limit myself to maybe one full glass and a half glass afterwards. But yes.
Okay, so you like to drink Kratom?
I do like to drink Kratom.
Okay, that's your preferred way to use it. Okay, cool. The reason why I brought Sun on as a guest today is because you know, part of the thing we like to talk about on the dark side of Kratom is stigma, right? Stigma is a big one. And we all know about, you know, the stigma in America, I guess our viewers would know as being, you know, English speakers and Westerners, but the American stigma around Kratom and the Thai stigma is very different. So I'd like a Thai person to sort of, you know, share their experience and sort of like, you know, help people understand what the Thai stigma is. So Sun, what is the Thai stigma around Kratom?
It's generally not favorable views, right? I think it's more generational, but for the most part, historically speaking, it hasn't been favorable up until, you know, when it got legalized. Then I think the discussion was definitely more open. But
So you say not favorable. Why is it not favorable?
There is stigma. Yeah, there's just a stigma, but it's a little different. Not so much that there's not enough research, but there's a lot of resentment towards it. There's a lot of myths that go around about it, but generally it's seen as the same as any other illicit drug, I feel. Maybe less so with the younger generation, but yes, that's
Okay, so you're saying with the older generation there's more of a stigma around it.
I would say so, yes.
Okay, so why do you think the younger generation is more open to Kratom?
Well, I think legalization was definitely one of those things.
So what about you? When was the first time you tried Kratom?
Well, it's only been 2 years actually.
Okay, so after legalization.
After legalization, yes.
So I guess all of us started using Kratom after legalization.
Around the same time.
Yeah.
At the same time, yes.
So would you say this is the stigma, just going off what I've heard from other Thais, is the stigma related to a perceived social strata or a class thing? Is it a stigma to do with people that take Kratom only do, you know, menial jobs, or is it the usual stigma as you referenced that most drugs have, which are it's bad for you, it's perhaps a gateway to harder things. What exactly is it, do you think, that the older generation look down on Kratom drinkers about?
I honestly think it's all three. I think it's a bit of all three. I think there's also those stereotypes about it being, amongst more used amongst a certain occupation or certain occupations more than others. Like truck drivers or motorcycle taxis and things like that. But
Okay, so why do you think truck drivers and motorcycle taxi drivers use it?
they're stereotyped too. But I also feel like there is an energizing component to Kratom. I feel like when you drink it, especially on a hot day, it's quite relieving, right? It's a lot easier to go about your day, especially with I guess menial jobs, labor jobs.
Well, I mean, it also gives you focus too. So I think maybe that's why the drivers like it, right? 'Cause, I mean, people, laborers will use it,
Yes.
but it also gives you focus, right?
Yes.
I see. So what about I don't want to get too much into your personal stuff, but I'm really curious about like what your family thinks about you using Kratom, or do they know you use Kratom?
I actually don't know. I actually don't know.
Okay.
Well, in this corner of the internet, it's unlikely that...
They're probably not watching this. But...
No.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if let's say if your mom heard you were using Kratom, how do you think she'd react?
I think it would be shocked. I think she would be extremely shocked.
Okay.
I think she would immediately think of the worst outcomes possible, because in her time that was how they taught it to her. That was what she was told, that Kratom is this and that, and it's gonna cause psychosis and things like this. So immediately, I think she would be very concerned, and she would definitely do everything in her power to stop me from drinking it.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I've heard that exact reason given by many Thais, even within my Thai family. I try to be discreet because my wife worries that what my in-laws would think if they knew that I drank Kratom. And when I brought it up once with a member of my Thai family, they basically said, "Lawang na, jalokji." Basically, it translates as, be very careful, you might go crazy. So I think this angle of psychosis, and it isn't not unwarranted. This is the dark side of Kratom. We're going to get into all the bad stuff, but it is perhaps heavily propagandized within the educational system. And the other thing that you mentioned about the motorbike drivers using it for latent energy. So when I first came here, a friend said something quite shocking to me. He said, always look at the scars on the knuckles of motorbike taxi drivers, because that means how safe they are if they've had accidents. And he said that if they take yaba, which is like methamphetamine, they twitch. I've noticed that a lot with a lot of motorcycle taxi drivers. So I guess one perhaps favourable outcome of the decriminalisation is if motorcycle taxi drivers have switched from the hardcore methamphetamine to Kratom, if they're slightly sleep deprived. But then on the bad side, you've got this, I've forgotten what it's called, the cough medicine mixture that you said the Thai word last time. Sikunroi.
Yeah, we're mixing just with the cough syrup, the yakai.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to meet anybody on the road that's been drinking that. So it depends what their poison is.
It's pretty funny. I've actually seen like a motorcycle driver drinking Kratom out of a plastic bottle that had like the cute sticker of a bear, on a motorcycle, So like there's actually brands like especially for like the motorcycle delivery driver.
Wow.
Yeah.
Makes sense actually. Yeah.
So I see. So son,
Yes.
so what do you think about like the future of Thais using Kratom, and do you think there will be any change to the stigma, because you're saying how the younger generation is more open to it since it became legal? Do you think any of this might have to do with the influence from the West? Like personally, I think because there's some like hip hop music videos of guy drinking lean, right?
Yeah.
I think some of the Thai hip hop kids want to sort of mimic that with the Thai lean.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not in a positive way, but still, right? Like, it sort of makes them want to use it and do it.
I think it's an interesting dichotomy to explore, because there is that side too, right? That co-use with a lot of cough syrup. And I think there was a recent study that came out, I want to say it was from Prince Songkla, but they also found an association with liver cancer and this use of this cough syrup, right? So it's not very sustainable.
Yeah, and you did mention Prince of Soul Claw.
Yes.
I sort of printed out this PDF book. It's all in Thai. You could take pictures and maybe use Google Translate, but this is a really cool free document you could just sort of download off the Prince of Soul Claw University. I think the Prince of Soul Claw University has maybe the most research, right? So Soul Claw is a city that borders Malaysia, and they have a long history of using Kratom. So if anyone wants like good research out of Thailand, I suggest checking Prince of Soul Claw University website. Okay, so sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah.
I'm sure they appreciate the plug.
But no, it's a bit hard to say, right? In which direction it would go. Obviously, like from an economic point of view, you would say like you need regulation, but it's a bit hard to say at the moment. There's also a resistance, right, against it, where some are kind of also advocating for recriminalizing it again. So it's uncertain, but I do think that this international, this kind of global change you're talking about of more people being receptive to Kratom, I think that might also change things.
I've been some ties to they went to like the States, right? And they went university, study abroad. They come back here, and they seem to have they seem to be more curious or like want to try or experiment with Kratom. And I feel like if they didn't go to the States, they might not feel that way, because these are guys who come from pretty rich families, right? To send them abroad to go to these universities and stuff. So I find that pretty interesting too. And one thing, this will go into like the next topic, but one thing that shocked me, I heard, is this was over the weekend. I was working this this party, and this Thai guy, he didn't speak English or anything, and he was like, oh yeah, like, have you heard of 7-hydroxy? I'm like, yeah, like, how do you know about it? And because it's not something they have here. And he's like, oh, there's this like this new place that's making it. And he showed me some pictures, some of these like lab looking pictures of some yellowish like powder. And he's like, yeah, I heard of like guys sniffing it. And I was like, what? And I'm like, really? So there's like like young Thai guys like sniffing 7-hydroxy powder, and that's influence coming from America that I don't think Thailand needs. And even though that I recently heard about this new manufacturer, and they're exporting to America, right? But somehow these young Thai guys are snorting it. So that would be scary if 7-hydroxy sort of like, because it's illegal in Thailand, but if it's being manufactured by a factory just to export to America, but it's somehow getting into the hands of young Thais who are snorting it, that's scary.
Yeah, it'll find its way into the domestic market, won't it? No doubt. That's the trouble with the culture in America. It's always to take things to their extreme, isn't it? Everything in excess, the most concentrated extracts they can possibly make. But what is it? 7-OH it's partially synthetic. It's what is it? A concentrated alkaloid.
I don't know. I'm not even sure if it's even partially synthetic. Like, I'm not a chemist or anything, but like in the Kratom leaf, right? There's all Mitragyna, as we know, but there's also like a tiny bit, like not even 1%, like point something of 7-hydroxy Mitragyna. So you don't feel it, right, if you're chewing the leaf or boiling it. But overseas there's something called like the red vein powder, right? So this is like Kratom powder, right? But what they do is I never made this, but this just seems to be the way that people do it. They ferment the powder, right? And by fermenting the powder, it releases 7-hydroxy. So that, let's just say that 0.1% or whatever gets boosted up to like 1%, right? And then they're extracting that so into higher forms. So there's these like shots, right, or these pills called 7-hydroxy. So I don't know how much of a connection it has to the Kratom leaf. To me, it's sort of like the connection between a potato and vodka. You know, like, yeah, it did like somehow come from that, but it's been like through all these stages and, you know, process and synthesize. Like, I think almost anything, like, let's say like morphine, for example, right? Like it's like morphine to the poppy plant, you know? So I don't know. It's something I think that's really harmful. I never used it, I never touched it, but you know, it's getting banned in the States. It's getting Kratom banned in the States, you know, in certain states because they all group it together. And before that wasn't something that was manufactured here, but you know, apparently there's, you know, like a place doing it right now, and that's pretty scary. That's pretty scary.
It's frightening.
Yeah. Because Kratom, you know, it's powerful enough, you know, and I don't understand why it needs to be that strong, you know. I don't know. There's other things that are stronger, you know, if you want to use it for, you know, medicinal pain use or whatever, you know, there is, you know, like fentanyl, for example, right? So I don't know, there is a few arguments about, oh, you know, it shouldn't be illegal because, you know, people use it for pain and it could be, you know, administered at a hospital. But yeah, you can all say that about like morphine and
anything can be abused.
You know, like
anything can be taken in excess.
So is it something that should be available in the public? You know, I don't think so. Yeah. Have you heard of 7-hydroxy Mitragyna before?
I've heard of Mitragyna, but not
7-hydroxy.
Not 7-hydroxy. No, it's quite eye-opening to me as a Thai. Yeah.
And do Thais do they use like powder, like Kratom powder?
No, I think for the most part they use the leaf, right?
They use the leaf, right?
They use the meal, but
So why do you think Thais use the leaf instead of the powder?
That's a good question. I'm not too sure actually, but I think it's fine the way it is, right?
It is fine the way it is, right? There's no need to mess up something that's fine the way it is, right?
Yeah, respect
And
that.
it's sort of sad what I see going on in America, because America has a good thing going on, right, with legal, or with Kratom being legal in almost all states, and there's no need to like turn it into crack, right? Just it's good on its own. I could even argue like powder is far more stronger than, you know, just a fresh leaf. It's like sort of a concentrated form, and so I don't use a powder, but I do believe like it does have its, you know, benefits. You can make it in capsules and stuff, so that's sort of good for, you know, like medical use, you know. But yeah, man, like just leave the leaf alone. You know, it's right. Yeah, stop. I don't know, man. Like it's causing so many problems.
Circling back to the stigma topic, you were saying at the beginning it's different in Thailand versus the States. So I think we've covered the stigma in Thailand, right? The traditional outlook being unfavorable, reality, but also propaganda, perhaps that it's widespread, cause of psychosis, and then it's a gateway drug to harder things. So my understanding from the States, the stigma is because of all these extracts. That's the main reason, right? Because I was just telling you before we started the podcast, I was looking through one of the Reddit Kratom threads, and people were posting links to some stories about deaths that were linked to 7-OH in the States, but alcohol was also involved. So you've got this interesting situation where it absolutely can be lethal, and you can overdose, especially off these extracts. But then, as you've said to me before, Jake, you've got people that will so staunchly defend Kratom, they don't want to hear anything negative about it. It's all, oh, it's big pharma just trying to lobby to stop people taking natural products. So you've got to find the happy medium, right? Realize that there are absolute risks to your health, especially from the extracts, but also perhaps the media is quite quick to jump the gun and just link any death where Kratom is found in the system to being the cause of it.
Everyone has their own, you know, special, you know, health conditions, stuff like that. But you extract anything, right, and make it so potent, right? Like some things could kill you, like caffeine, right? Like in the States, right? There's a big case. It's like fast food chain. They had something like some supercharged lemonade. You know, they had like, you know, like crazy amount of caffeine in it, and it killed a guy. Right? You know, the leaf is so powerful. I don't think people, like, especially in the West, they don't understand how powerful the leaf is because they're used to getting powder. But You know, like a leaf, you could put it in like a glass of water, right? And let it like chill there for like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute, right? And then you take the leaf out and you could drink the water and you'll feel something. And I feel like there's sort of a misconception in the West that, you know, because, you know, they're like, oh, powder is, you know, it's, you know, natural leaf. And they think that's how people use it in Southeast Asia, but they don't, right? There'd be good reason, right, for that. And the powder can be abused. You know, people could like get a spoon and just like eat it, like eat spoonfuls of it. Or there's something called toss and wash, right? They'll put in some like dissolvable you know, wax paper and shoot it down, and there's so many things that could go wrong with that. But it's just like eating like spoonfuls of you know, like coffee or like, you know, tea.
Yeah, there are products that have been made for that, right? Especially.
It was what?
There are products you told me.
Yeah, there's even a brand that's specifically made for toss and wash, which to me is so cracked out. It is so like, I guess, accepted or normalized to like, okay, you just, you know, like shoot down Kratom powder because Kratom tastes like shit. But the thing is, like, not all Kratom tastes like shit. There is Kratom that you could actually like enjoy the flavor if it's just made with care, you know, if it's made right. So yeah, I don't know. The powder is, you know, to make 1 gram of powder, usually it's like 4 grams of fresh leaf. So it's easy to like, I think, overdose. And when I say overdose, not like ODing, but like just taking more than you really need, right? Than with the leaf, because there's so much more mass, I guess. And when you make powder, you're heating up the leaf, and you know, you're breaking it out, losing some alkaloids. So I feel like the feeling is just totally different. It's not the same. And there's nothing wrong with powder, right? But I don't want people thinking like, oh, you know, you can't abuse powder, and there's no dark side to the powder, because it can get pretty dark, right?
No doubt.
If you've ever met a guy who uses a lot of powder, and when I say a lot, just like eat spoonfuls of it, they look like heroin addicts, right? They look like heavy opiate users. The pupils are very small. Their demeanor, they're really pale.
Well, that's because they've taken such a high dose. The stimulant effect has been bypassed really quickly, right? And it's just become an opiate. So they're probably a bit detached and monged out. Yeah, like bleary, glazed eyes expression. But coming back to, again, the stigma, but the users, we were talking about in the States, there's a few podcasts on Kratom, and they seem to mainly revolve around people that have come off heroin. So there's almost a stigma within that well, it's only for crackheads that have come off the really hardcore stuff, and now they're on Kratom. Whereas in my experience, the people I've met that drink Kratom, albeit mostly foreigners, they're using it to replace coffee. They're using it because of post-surgery, some injury relief from inflammation, or as a substitute for alcohol. So I think people, they aren't aware how widespread the use is just recreationally. For that use, you don't have to be a recovering heroin addict to turn to Kratom. What do you think, son? What about your experience with fellow Thais, foreigners that you've met that are regular Kratom users? Is it for the reasons I listed, or is it elsewhere?
I just feel like there's quite varying reasons. I've met people from all walks. I mean, also people who are drinking it for the rehabilitative benefits, but I think Thais generally don't really use it with a medicinal purpose in mind. You know, Thais, I feel like, tend to see it as a purely recreational substance. You know, so it's I feel like it's still a little different when I meet expats and hear from their perspective of Kratom. But I feel like the West is definitely more oriented on using it for medical.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe only the south of Thailand, the people sort of know the health benefits because it's from there. But in general, Thai don't really know. Maybe not as much as maybe Westerners know, right? Because it's not really promoted, or it's not really like, just people don't know about the health benefits, right? So recreational. Do you think most Thais drink Kratom with cough syrup or without cough syrup?
That's a good question.
I feel like, you know, the majority of Kratom I see does include cough syrup. A lot of the Kratom that my friends drink will have cough syrup, and I've been guilty of it myself, you know.
Okay, so how do you feel when you drink the Kratom tea with cough syrup?
It's a whole different thing, right? Because it's a different interaction now. You know, you've also got the cough syrup, and it's a whole different feeling. I feel, you know, you feel a lot drowsier, and you feel a lot worse the next day, you know, which is not what I want exactly from you know, some, you know, I want the opposite, and
Yeah.
wake up and I want to be refreshed.
So it's almost like a hangover equivalent
Yeah.
to deal with the next.
Weird, because I've
Wow.
tried some before, and I just had a couple sips, but you do feel like you're drunk, right?
Yeah,
You feel sort of like
yeah.
drowsy in this dreamy-like state.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not for working, you know?
Yeah, or driving.
It's really hard to work with that, I feel, you know, like, oh.
I feel like a lot of the old school Thais who do use it for work, they like to chew it, because when you chew it, you know, the difference between when you chew it or when you like drink a tea out of it is when you chew it, it's a shorter high, maybe 10-15 minutes of like really intense high, really uplifting. And when you drink a tea, I think it's more of a body high. But you know, like I don't know if anyone's seen people chew leaves, but that was the first time I used it. You know, if you ever come to Thailand, if you're your Kratom leaves, you know, always remember to take the stem out. You know, this is not something you want to consume. And, you know, you want to roll the Kratom leaves, right, like that with the, you know, the vein side in, and, you know, fold it and just sort of like, you know, chew it like a piece of gum.
It tastes delicious, right?
I haven't chewed a Kratom leaf in I don't know how many years. But, yeah. I don't know. I feel like I heard the farmers would chew Kratom leaves in the daytime, and they just keep on chewing it. Their mouth would be full of Kratom leaves. Well, actually, I feel a little off from that. And at the end of the day, you know, they'll make like a really strong pot of tea, and that's what helps them, you know, with their sore muscles.
Okay, well, I'm coming back with the dark side now. Sore muscles, withdrawal.
Yeah. I know how that
So
feels.
that-
Yeah.
Withdrawal is very real for Kratom. So personally, I was probably drinking too much of it around the time of the Euros, the football, and it was me that was featured in that article in the Telegraph. I forget her name, the journalist, and she said, I met a British guy who was ordering cans of Kratom so he could stay awake for the football till 2 a.m. So yeah, at that time, I mean, justifying it, excuses, I was staying up late a lot. I didn't want to be drinking alcohol and be hammered and not be able to enjoy or remember the football. So I was drinking Kratom, and I probably had it almost every day for 3 or 4 weeks. And when I stopped, I had mild insomnia for about 2 nights. Not that I didn't sleep a wink, I just found it difficult. I was tossing and turning. And the second day, my lats, my back, all my shoulder muscles were really aching. I thought it was just from exercise, but then I realized it was definitely the withdrawal.
It's that feeling after like a workout, right? Like the next
But
morning
really,
after
really
workout.
heavy.
Yeah, it's really sorry.
Yeah, almost like flu-like.
Yeah.
And then just definitely feeling irritable, moody. So it's very real, but for me, that was off just fresh leaf products. I think if you do something stronger, it can be way worse. If you just look at the Kratom subreddits about all the people talking about their addictions and getting off really hardcore extracts, pretty frightening stories they've been through an ordeal.
Yeah, I feel like the withdrawals from using powder and extracts is way more intense than just, you know, from the fresh leaf. You know, I've experienced 2 withdrawals because those were the 2 times I had to leave the country. You know, so
Oh, that was it.
yeah. So the first withdrawal was 1 year after using Kratom, and this is 1 year, you know, just drinking, you know, Kratom drinks daily, and you know, I was out of the country for, you know, a couple of weeks, and I didn't withdraw any, or I didn't experience any withdrawal at all. I was actually really surprised, you know,
From fresh leaf.
from the fresh leaf, but I wasn't also sober at the same time. You know, I was drinking, you know, lots of coffee and drinking lots of beer. But the second withdrawal, which was, I don't know when it was, like 6 months ago, you know. So this is after using Kratom daily for like 4 years. Yeah, I did feel withdrawal, and I had one night I couldn't sleep well. I remember, like you know, like you said, it was like having like a fever or flu, you know, cold sweats, restless legs, right, tossing and turning. But you know, the next day, you know, I felt fine. Coffee really helped a lot. I noticed when I drank coffee, it sort of like, you know, got my, you know, like my, you know, serotonin levels high or something, or you know, pick me up, yeah. Um, but yeah, the muscle aches were definitely there, and you know, even now, I feel like every morning when I wake up, I do have that feeling like you just, you know, did like an intense workout at the gym the day before. My legs, you know, or like, you know, my back or something, will be sort of sore. Um, but son, what about you? Have you ever experienced any withdrawals before?
Definitely, just as you described, you know, like I definitely have had like mornings where I just felt so sore. Sometimes I just feel so lethargic. But I feel like it's worse with when cough syrup is added to the equation. Then I feel like that effect becomes much more.
It's
It's just I feel like it takes days to recover with cough syrup included, but with, you know, if it's organic, then it's not as, you know, not as bad, I feel. But
Yeah. Interesting. I never thought about that, but yeah, because even just with cough syrup, that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother piece, you know.
Yeah.
So
Seek and rely.
yeah, I mean, to me, I think the reason why a lot of people like Kratom is it's famous for having mild withdrawals, right? But then I don't think people really look into like, oh, like a withdrawal from, you know, like chewing the leaf or drinking the leaf is a lot more mild than the withdrawal from using the powder, which is more mild than with the withdrawal from extract, which is more mild than the withdrawal from 7-hydroxy. And I feel like it sort of goes in that order.
Yeah, it's a sliding scale, isn't it? From the alkaloids, the concentrated extracts, down to the fresh leaf.
Because it's weird. I've met people here, you know, who are flying in from, you know, where Kratom's legal, right? So maybe, let's say Germany, Czech Republic, or the States. And, you know, if they're going through withdrawal from powder, right? Like, yeah, they can come to Thailand, have some Kratom, they're cool, right? Chew leaf, drink something. Extracts, you know, they're still cool, right? Like, it's not the same, but they're still getting by. Now, 7-hydroxy, I've met guys who, they tried everything Kratom related they could find in Thailand, and it didn't do a thing. That's when I was like, all right, this is like a whole different thing.
It's like they were coming off something harder than.
Yeah, and you know, like guys, like they're not sleeping for like days and stuff. They're like zombies and stuff. So that's when I was like, all right, you know, like if any form of Kratom can't help with the withdrawal of 7-hydroxy, you know, like then what is 7-hydroxy, right? Because if it is so close to the Kratom plant, then Kratom should help with the withdrawal, you think?
I mean, to me, that points to it being more synthetic.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to throw some links in the show notes on that for the proper definition. The other thing that we should cover, we talked about, is, so episode 1, we talked about the synergy between Kratom and cannabis. And I asked you why you thought it was popular with cannabis smokers. You said it goes well together. But this is the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? The dark side. So we need to point out that seizures can occur if you have a low tolerance. That's my understanding, right? If you're not a weed smoker, like you come here on holiday and you're smoking this 30% THC strain, ridiculous strengths in Thailand, like Amsterdam. You've never had weed, you've never had Kratom. You know, you have both, and then.
Yeah, I've experienced 3 seizures. I'm not experienced, but I've witnessed 3 seizures, unfortunately. And it was all people who, you know, they're not used to drinking Kratom, or maybe they are, but they're not used to smoking, you know, some strong, you know, weed. So, yeah, it's scary when it happens, you know. So, you know, it's weird. I think a lot of people don't want to make a connection with seizures with Kratom, but, you know, I've seen it before. I wish it doesn't happen, but I don't know why, but something about people using strong weed without having a tolerance to THC and Kratom could actually make them just hit the floor and have a seizure. Son likes to smoke weed. And I don't know, have you ever heard of anything like that, or have you ever seen any seizure from people using weed and kratom?
You know, I've witnessed one person,
Yeah,
a good friend of mine once,
Okay.
literally same thing, you know, dropped to the ground, had
Yeah.
a seizure, had to call an ambulance, and
Yeah.
you know, everything was fine in the end, but
Yeah.
you know,
It's scary, right?
it is very terrifying, yeah, and it's especially like you said, you know, when you go from not really drinking it that often or not at all to all of a sudden binge drinking it, or you know, in one sitting, then it's. But yeah, it's just highly distressing, right? I mean, yeah, I can imagine how scary it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does happen, you know, not to a great degree though, but it does happen. Yeah,
Everything in moderation, right?
yeah, everything in moderation.
Know your limits, know your tolerance.
Yeah,
But let me see. What else is there? We should go over for the dark side. Did we cover everything? I feel like we're missing something. We're missing something.
You've covered, I think the important thing was the interactions, 7-OH, absolutely. The cases that have been linked to deaths, although there's other drugs that have been present in the toxicology. The most recent one that we saw on the subreddit that was reported.
Oh, actually, yeah. So can you maybe share some things that you saw on the subreddit about like withdrawals that you thought were sort of like surprising or interesting?
So most of the subreddits on withdrawal, they always start off by saying that they were taking very high strength Kratom drinks. So I saw a bunch of posts, people saying, I've been having 50 or 60 gram drinks. I guess they exist in the States.
Powder.
Perhaps powder, okay. Yeah, daily for weeks on end. When they came off, it was insomnia, aching all over, mild psychosis. Someone else talked about after having surgery on their gallbladder, worried about whether or not they could still drink Kratom in case they could actually filter it out of their body. And then a lot of weird posts that people say, I've never had Kratom before, but I've just had this many grams, this drink. Will I be okay? You know, what should I do? And the only advice people can give them is stay hydrated. Drink lots of water.
Yeah, actually,
it's going to be horrible. You're going to have
we
to
should
ride
talk
it out.
about the hydration thing is really big. Yeah, you should always drink water or have water available. And I don't know about you guys, but like I've heard people say like when you sleep, you know, you get really dehydrated. So I always make sure there's like a bottle of water next to my bed. I don't know about you guys, but you know, I'll go to the bathroom a lot. So I heard people say like, oh yeah, after you know I drank Kratom, like, I
that's
slept
the
with
dark
a
side.
dry
It makes you
mouth.
feel a lot.
I guess it's like drinking alcohol or something like that. But Kratom really dehydrates you way more than coffee, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also one more thing I want to add about the cannabis side. So seizures, yes, they are possible if you've got low tolerance or everybody's biochemically different. But for me personally, and a few friends that I know, we have very bad interactions with the gummies. Okay, so I'm not demonizing gummies because they're having a hard time. They're being cracked down on by the Thai government at the moment. But I don't really smoke weed these days. I like a small amount of THC or CBD gummy to sleep. But if I've had Kratom in the day, it interacts in a strange way. I feel itchy all over, and my mind is buzzing even though my body wants to sleep. So,
Yeah, itchiness is another
Kratom.
side effect. So, you know, usually when you take a lot, you get really itchy. I think that's a common sensation people get from using opiates, right?
I guess it's exacerbated by the effect of the THC in the gummy for me personally.
Oh, okay. But you said it hurts, right?
No, not hurts, just really bad insomnia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Really bad insomnia.
Mm.
Yeah. So you know, Kratom. You know, we forgot to talk about this one, which is one of the most important things. It's addictive. And it's a drug, right? every drug's addictive. I think that's what makes it great, right? Like all the good things in life, they're addictive, right? If you like something, you naturally want to do more of it. Well, Nick, was it you said like some your friend or someone saying it's sort of sneaky. It's sort of a sneaky addiction, right? It's not because it's sort of like harmless.
Yeah, it creeps up on you.
It creeps up on you.
Yeah, I mean, this is also something I mentioned in episode 1, and it's something that I read in a book that I'll link to. So this sounds like something that an addict would say, but I think in episode 1 I said that there's a distinction between addiction and dependency. Okay, and before everybody like FOMOs into the comments saying, no, that's just addict talk. What I mean by that is an addict is someone that's completely cracked out, right? Taking the extracts, the powder, like you said, they've got this wild, detached look in their eye. Nothing is strong enough to make them feel better. Whereas dependency, I've seen people that were alcoholics talk about completely stopping drinking. They're teetotal from alcohol, but they say that they are dependent on Kratom. So they need to take, 1 cup of the tea, or they weigh out, 1 to 3 grams per day, something to that effect. So that's what I mean by the difference between addiction and dependency. But absolutely, it is addictive. Everything in moderation. Yeah, know your limits. That's the message I think for the dark side.
To me, that's what makes Kratom a little special, because Kratom could sort of tell your body you've had enough, right? Compared to other substances where your body is just pushing the limits, right? Need more. But I feel like Kratom could sort of like let you know, okay, you can have more if you want to, but you've had enough and you're good, right? You don't need any more. And I think maybe that's why a lot of drug addicts or users like using Kratom, because it could get them out of that that cycle, right, of keep on using something.
You're right. That's a good point. Yeah, to my experience, even if you're taking Kratom recreationally, you can't chase the dragon or chase the high like with other drugs. People always want more, right? The hard narcotics. Whereas Kratom, you feel nauseous. I can't go beyond a certain amount, and then I know what my sweet spot is. If I go too much, then I don't feel good for a couple of hours. I gotta drink a lot of water.
Yeah, so let's talk about overdose, right? So, son, have you ever overdosed on Kratom?
I've never. No, I've never overdosed.
And Nick, have you, or?
I don't think so. I don't really know how you would define an overdose. I
used to,
felt really
like-
nauseous. I felt really
right.
nauseous.
Well, what I experienced, because I've seen a few people overdose, not in like a lethal way, but it's like drinking too much alcohol. Like you feel nauseous and you vomit.
Puke.
Yeah,
No,
you
not
puke.
that.
That's a very common reaction. But the thing is, the difference between puking after using Kratom and puking after alcohol is that you feel fine, right? You feel refreshed, but after puking after alcohol, you're like, ugh, you're still not okay.
Right. Not that we
Right.
advocate for like starting again and hammering it after you vomited it out.
Yeah, that's
Probably time to stop at that point, right? Call it a night.
But I think that's another reason why a lot of people like Kratom, because if you overdo it, right? I mean, and what it's different with the extracts and 7-hydroxy, all that. But like like the leaf or maybe the powder too. If you overdo it, you vomit and it's fine, right? It's you don't really have to worry about anything. I think like just like everything else on this earth, right? If you use it like naturally, just respect it. Right, use everything with respect. Use it the way it was designed to be. Right, there's a reason why it's it is the way it is. Right, just use it the way it is, man. Just like accept the fact that Kratom is a leaf and it has all these alkaloids, and there's a reason why they're all there. Right, so stop like trying to play God and extracting like one alkaloid and then like. Yeah,
Knocking
making it.
people out.
So like kids are snorting it and shit. And you're talking about chasing the dragon. I've heard of I think Americans might do this, but people in Europe would do this. They're like freebase, like extract or 7-hydroxy. I heard Amsterdam, I guess, has even
Vape thing.
It's weird because
Really?
you can't smoke Kratom, right? But I guess if you extract it into this weird synthetic form, you could like freebase it or vape it. And it's like, why do people have to go down this like road, you know? Like, I don't know, man.
That's right, isn't it?
It's too much.
Yeah, it's not for me. Well, we're at 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
Pretty in depth. Either next episode or the one after that, I think we're going to take a little trip to a Kratom farm.
Yeah, we'll go to the Kratom farm.
To a farmer.
Yeah.
We'll
meet
try
the
and do it
Kratom
in
farmers, and yeah, you'll get to see what a Kratom farm looks like in the countryside of Thailand. Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Well, Chongao,
All right,
again,
ciao.
thanks very much. It's been good having you on.
That's it, guys. Thank you.
Kratom Radio. Episode
Episode 2, that's a wrap.
The Dark Side.
All right, so
Saudi Cap.
กินหน่อยเป็นยา กินมากนักหนาไม่ดีกระป๋อม กินกระท่อมเพื่อเป็นยาเบาหวานนั้นนารักษากระป๋อม กินถ่อมมันผิดไอไรแล้วใส่เหล้าใส่นายค่อยจับถ่อมนั่นแหละจับถ่อม3 ใบพันห้าขอร้องนายจ่าและอย่าจับพวกผมไม่รู้จับไปเล่ตะมาเล่เขาให้กินทั้งเป้นายไม่จับถ่อมแต่เมืองไทยใช่ละเว้ยนายจับยังเลยจับโม่คอทอง